Tanner McKee.
Tanner McKee.
Let's talk about Tanner McKee.
No doubt about it. This was the Tanner McKee game.
If you haven't figured it out yet, we're gonna break down Tanner McKee in today's video. Most third-string quarterbacks don't warrant a breakdown, but this is a different case. Eagles fans know as well as anybody how important having a good backup quarterback is. And although you can't expect to win Super Bowls with the backup, not investing in quality depth at quarterback can derail a promising season. For instance, take a look back at the 2017 Green Bay Packers season. The Packers started out the season a promising 4-1 before Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone on the second drive of their next game. Brett Hundley filled in, and the Packers proceeded to go 3-5 over the next 8 weeks. And by the time Rodgers was back, the Packers had to win out to make the playoffs. They lost and put Rodgers on IR for the remainder of the season. Hundley had a passer rating of 78 during that span, and now plays in the XFL. In 2019, Drew Brees tore a ligament in his thumb during the Saints' second drive of their Week 2 matchup against the Rams. The Saints lost that game, but backup quarterback Teddy Bridgewater proceeded to go 5-0 after that. The good times kept rolling when Drew Brees returned to the lineup, and the Saints made the playoffs after being tied for the second best record in the NFL. Bridgewater had a passer rating of 98 during his time as a starter and remains one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL today. Hall of Fame coach Joe Gibbs once said, "The second most important position in football is the backup quarterback." And because of that, top-tier quarterbacks often command a hefty price tag. Jacoby Brissett signed a 1-year contract worth up to $10 million. Taylor Heineke signed a 2-year contract worth up to $20 million. Tyrod Taylor's cap hit this year will be higher than Jalen Hurts. Marcus Mariota's contract is worth up to $8 million. After signing Jalen Hurts to a mega contract, the Eagles need to find ways to save money going into the future. Hitting on a solid backup quarterback late in the draft pays off in exponential ways, as the Eagles won't need to set aside upwards of $5 million a year to sign a player that might not take any significant snaps during the season. It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you consider guys like TJ Edwards and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson have cap hits of $5 and $4.5 million respectively this year, every little bit you can save on a backup quarterback and put towards the rest of the roster matters. Tanner McKee has been one of the pleasant surprises of the 2023 training camp cycle so far for the Eagles, so much so that many fans are already calling for him to be the primary backup to Jalen Hurts this year. So what exactly is McKee doing so well? Well, number one, it doesn't seem like the moment is too big for him. Playing quarterback in the NFL, especially as a rookie, is extremely overwhelming, but McKee has played with confidence and poise since his first snap. After several reports in training camp that McKee had yet to attempt a pass beyond 20 yards in practice, he came out slinging, dropping a beautiful 27-yard pass over the shoulder of Tyreek Cleveland on his first play as a professional. On his third pass attempt, he showed off his play recognition and awareness. On this play, the Ravens are sending a blitz. When looking at the tight view, you can see that the protection was slid to the opposite side of where the blitz ended up coming from. The result was the Eagles having 4 offensive linemen blocking 2 pass rushers, leaving only the running back and left tackle to pick up the 3 rushers coming from the other side of the field. Tanner is aware that he is responsible to handle any extra rushers coming from the offense's left side. He quickly recognizes the blitz and throws hot to Tyreek Cleveland, who was running an out route this time. This definitely wasn't a typical vanilla preseason play call by the Ravens, but McKee calmly processes the information being presented to him post-snap and gets the ball where it needs to go on time. Here, McKee shows his understanding of how to find the windows and soft spots in zone coverage. The Eagles are running a variation of the popular pass concept known as stick. Instead of having the slot receiver run a flat route towards the sideline and having the number 1 receiver run a go route, they are having the slot receiver run a fade route and having the number 1 receiver run a hitch route to occupy the flat. McKee is able to identify that the defense is in zone coverage pre-snap due to the alignment of the slot corner and middle linebacker, as well as the eyes of the corners inside looking at the quarterback. The defense is trying to disguise that they are in cover 2, but the corner is nearly 8 yards off, and the safety is creeping towards the line of scrimmage, giving McKee a pre-snap clue that the defensive coverage is going to be rotating. When the ball is snapped, McKee processes the blitz and knows he has a small window to get the ball into. He fits it in the perfect spot, low and away from the linebacker that is rotating over, and inside of the safety that is rotating down. Even more impressive is that McKee had to handle a bad snap, which threw off his dropback timing and footwork slightly. He's not able to step into the throw, and his throw sequence is off. However, he's able to overcome and still throw this ball with great accuracy. Later in the game, the Browns are in a cover 2 look. The Eagles come out in an empty formation, which makes the read easier for the QB. In 2 high defenses like cover 2 and cover 4, oftentimes the middle linebacker relates to the drop of the number 3 receiver, whether that is a receiver split out or the running back releasing out of the backfield. Because of this, one of the weak spots in the coverage is the opposite area of where the linebacker drops. McKee is aware of this, throws with anticipation, and hits Johnny King for a big gain. However, the pass was a little low. A better pass would have given King a chance to make an even bigger play, but I'd rather this pass be low than sail high into the arms of a trailing defender. I mentioned earlier that the Eagles ran their stick variation with the slap fade. McKee has become well versed in running this play already. If the defense comes out in man coverage with only one safety deep, he's gonna look to throw the slap fade as opposed to the stick route. Here, we see the Eagles again come out in empty with the running back lined up as the number 1 receiver. The linebacker comes out to cover him, which is a strong indicator that this is man coverage. Now, the Browns are in a 2 high shell pre-snap, so this isn't an automatic throw to the slap fade. However, the safety to the strong side is lined up on the hash, so he's giving a hint to McKee that the safeties are gonna rotate into a 1 high coverage post snap. McKee receives a snap and reads the rotation, and then immediately looks to get the ball to Tyree Cleveland in the slot. McKee does an excellent job putting the ball in Cleveland's back shoulder where only he can make a play. McKee has shown a great rapport with his receivers already, and it makes sense considering he has put in extra work with his receivers. During rookie minicamp, he was leading the reserves on walkthroughs in the parking lot of their hotel. He knows the strength of his receivers, and almost all of his deep balls have been back shoulder fades. It makes sense considering most of the receivers he's throwing to aren't considered burners and haven't typically been creating a lot of separation throughout camp. While we haven't really seen McKee rip it 50 yards down the field, he has the arm strength necessary to make all NFL level throws. On his first pass against the Browns, he threw an accurate pass on an out route from the opposite hash. That is one of the hardest throws to make as a quarterback. He shows his accuracy and understanding of where the ball needs to be placed on this goal line slant for the 2-point conversion as well. He throws it low, which makes it harder for the corner to get a hand in to contest, while also protecting his receiver from getting lit up as he's running his route into a congested area. When the Eagles signed Mariota, many people pointed to the fact that the Eagles would be able to run their same offense with Mariota if he had to take over. And while that is the case, McKee can do a lot of the things necessary to run this offense as well. Obviously, he's not going to be involved in the designed quarterback run game, but he has enough athleticism to run their boot action and rollout concepts. The Eagles run a heavy amount of RPO plays, and being fleet of foot is not a requirement to run them successfully. McKee showed good decision making on several of the RPO concepts that the Eagles ran last year. Tanner did a great job on this play against the Browns. This was one of the Eagles' most popular RPO plays last year, and Tanner showed the ability to move through his reads to get to the last guy in the progression. This should have been a touchdown, even if the pass was slightly inaccurate. While McKee has shown a lot of promise and reason to be excited, he's still a rookie and he's still learning. On this play, the Eagles are running a play action with a dig route intended to hit behind the linebackers. I would believe the coaches want Devin Allen to run his route deeper, as he's supposed to provide some spacing and room underneath for the rest of the offense to work. The timing of the play appears to be off as well, as Deion Kane hesitates at the top of the route. Tanner does a good job stepping up and finding the quiet part of the pocket, and ends up throwing the ball away. His eyes should have progressed down from the dig to the check down route by the running back. He also had room to run if he wanted to, but ends up throwing the ball away. This was a 1st and 20 play that could have resulted in a 5 to 10 yard gain to put the offense in a much better position to convert a first down later. There have been times where his mechanics have been off and he sailed some passes, but again, he's a rookie making his first couple starts in the NFL, and he only had 23 starts in college. While he's got more athleticism than the likes of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, he will need to continue working on his pocket presence. He doesn't have quick feet, so I wouldn't expect him to bail out and extend plays when things break down. He'll need to continue getting faster with his reads and his pocket presence to buy himself more time. Like with most quarterbacks, when he gets pressured, things start to break down for him. I expect him to improve in this phase of his game as he gets more experience. McKee has surpassed expectations to this point, and while he has looked good compared to a struggling Mariota, I'm not going to make snap judgments and say he should be the primary backup right now. He has been going against 3rd, 4th, and 5th string players, many of whom will not be on teams by the end of camp. Coverages are not nearly as tight going up against 3rd team corners and safeties as they would be going against the likes of Darius Slay and James Bradbury, but going into their last preseason game, I think he definitely warrants getting some looks against second-team defenses, especially with the way Mariota has performed so far. At the end of the day, I think the Eagles, a team with Super Bowl aspirations, will be hard-pressed to name a rookie as a backup quarterback over a guy who's going into his 9th year in the league. Mariota still won 5 games in his 13 starts last year on a much worse roster than the one he's playing with in Philadelphia, and the rookie has been going up against much simpler defenses than he would see in the regular season. But Tanner McKee has shown that he has the tools necessary to become, at the very least, a competent backup quarterback in the NFL. I fully expect him to take over that role next year after he has a full season and second offseason under his belt. Being able to find a cheap contract for the second most important position in football is an investment that is going to pay dividends.